Alright guys, UFC 300 is officially in the books. Man, one of the best cards that the UFC has ever put out there. Is it the best UFC pay-per-view card of all time? I have no idea, man, because there are plenty of good ones. What's it called? The fight started with Cody Garbrandt versus Davison Figueiredo, and to the main event, which was Alex Pereira versus Jamal Hill. I will say there were a couple of duds on the fight, and when I say that there were a couple of duds is because, look, I was at a watch party. We were watching the fights, and gotta say, Aljamain Sterling versus Calvin Kattar. That was the first dud where it caught me like, wow, like, leave it to Aljamain Sterling to making Calvin Kattar, feel unwatchable, because it was Aljamain wrestling. And then we got some glimpses and moments in the Arman Tsarukyan Charles Oliveira fight, and Oliveira, because I'm not really not going to talk about these two fights, in this video, but Oliveira ends up catching Tsarukyan in a guillotine. He had to tell you, I thought he was gonna make Arman tap, and Arman looked like he was like gargling, like ready to tap, because Arman said after the fight that he was ready to tap, and he felt like it was tight, but he found a way to survive, and it was just a wrestling clinic, and it was just a little bit of grappling. Oliveira got bloodied up a little bit. You saw his blonde hair turn like orangey red. So yeah, but those were the only two duds. Aljo ended up beating Kattar by decision. Arman ended up beating Oliveira by decision. But overall, outside of those two fights, out of that 13 fight card, 11 good fights, and man, we saw the fight of the year. And definitely, and this might be knockout of the year. Man, oh man. Dana White ended up raising the stakes for the bonuses to be from $50,000 to $300,000. And everybody was excited. It was fun. It was kind of funny on press conference because Aljo was one of the most excited people. And I'm looking at Aljo, I'm like, Aljo, you're going to have to go finish somebody in spectacular fashion to secure a $300,000 bag, in which he clearly didn't, and he wasn't even looked upon. I think he was, if I'm not mistaken, he was the lone fighter that did not get a post-fight interview, mainly because they were up against the clock with the way how long that fight ended up dragging out. But we'll start it off with the main event. Alex Pereira versus Jamal Hill. Alex Pereira trying to go for his first title defense after winning the belt at MSG. You have Jamal Hill coming back from an Achilles injury that he was out around July. He had won the belt against Glover Teixeira in January. My whole thing is I don't understand why he was absent, from January to July when he ended up occurring the injury. And you could have had Jamal Hill defend the title at least once. Could have been with somebody just to keep the division moving, but that injury caused Jamal Hill to relinquish the belt. In comes Yuri and Alex Pereira at MSG. Alex wins by TKO victory against Yuri Prochazka. I think it was in round 2, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, this is where we're at right now for UFC 300. Going into this fight, Jamal Hill, was being nice to Alex, asking him for an autograph or signature on his gold UFC 300 jacket. Pereira, capitulated. He signed, right? But then, the shenanigans happened with Jamal Hill. He was trying to get into the head of Alex Pereira. Coming out with his the stone face, what's it called, water bottle or sheen, whatever it was, but it was all busted up around the face. Jamal Hill was saying on the press conference that he was gonna do that to Alex Pereira, so that was kind of like motivation, and he really thought that he was gonna be able to stand and trade with Alex Pereira. And honestly, that fight only lasted no more than I believe 3 minutes, because Alex Pereira was just trying to get a good read on Jamal Hill in that round 1. Jamal tried leg kicking with Alex Pereira, which is absolutely insane because obviously the best leg kicker in the game is Alex Pereira, and he doesn't even telegraph when he's going to throw it. And Jamal used both feet to leg kick with him, and Alex was just timing things out. His leg kick is kind of like his jab. So there was a point in time where Jamal was like overreaching, trying to hit the body. In my head, I'm like, this guy's gonna get knocked out because he's leaving his chin way too exposed. The way that Jamal Hill was talking throughout fight week was that he was gonna be able to trade with him, and it seemed like he was gonna go all out. I think he was being very cautious once he ended up feeling the power of Alex Pereira from the leg kicks. He felt a nasty body shot. It was the only body shot that he received. And at one point, you had Jamal Hill hitting Alex Pereira in the cup. He tells Herb Dean back off. Less than 10 seconds later, throws a shoveling left hook. Drops Jamal Hill with the first punch that he throws at his face. And it was just ground and pound for like 5 seconds. Herb Dean pulls off Alex Pereira and he retains the title. And man, within 8 fights in the UFC, Alex Pereira is now 7-1. Only losses to Adesanya. He beat 5 former world champs or current world champs. He started with Andreas Michailidis. Then he ended up facing Bruno Silva. Then he faced Sean Strickland. Then he faced Adesanya, won the middleweight title. Lost to Adesanya in the rematch. Goes up to light heavyweight, faces Jan Blachowicz. Then after that, faces Yuri Prochazka. Now faces Jamal Hill. And he's also, 2-0 in fighters that have fought Glover Teixeira and won. And been able to be successful as redemption. The 3 light heavyweights that he has fought have been fighters that Glover Teixeira has also fought as well too. So that's kind of good insight since Glover Teixeira is in the corner of one Alex Pereira. Now, where does this go next? I mean, Alex Pereira did not receive any damage whatsoever. Talked about how he wanted to fight in UFC 301. They kind of do need a some type of additional boost. Me personally, I would have him fight as the main event to defend the middleweight title. I mean, light heavyweight title. Here's the thing: you have Alex Pereira who's saying that he wants to fight at heavyweight. He doesn't care who it is. Never mentioned Tom Aspinall. Tom Aspinall ended up posting a photo of him staring at Alex Pereira as he's starting to get checked by the cut man and stuff like that. Put Vaseline and everything like that. So seems like Tom Aspinall is actually willing to fight Alex Pereira, but I have a feeling that Alex Pereira is playing this thing smart. He probably wants to fight some random heavyweight, keep himself active. I mean, the guy is 36 or 37 years old. He wants to, keep on making as much money as possible because his window is very, very short. I understand he's been in the UFC for about 2.5 years. He probably has maybe like another 2 more years left, and he is becoming a very active type of fighter. So, he didn't receive any damage whatsoever, and why would he want to cut again back to 205 when he could just walk around at heavyweight, still in a really good, training camp, just fight some type of heavyweight. Me personally, I would try to have him fight somebody like a Jairzinho Rozenstruik, put that on the Brazil card, whether it's a co-main event or main event. I imagine it would be co-main event, and you would have Pantoja versus Usyk headline, while you have Aldo versus Martinez as the featured fight. And that could be a really good pay-per-view card, those 3 fights, because you're really going to be paying for those 3 fights, because everything else is either mid or it's kind of right? So that goes there. As for Jamal Hill, I feel like he's going to have to fight Yuri. Yuri ended up winning a great matchup against Rakic. Yuri's a madman. He doesn't believe in defense. He had a war of words with Rakic, because Rakic called him a fake samurai, that he believes that he's a samurai just because he read a book, How to Become a Samurai, and that really pissed off Yuri. And Yuri ate so many leg shots from Rakic, and I believe Alex Pereira laid the book on how to stop Yuri. But Yuri doesn't care. He doesn't believe in believing that he's hurt. He ended up, marching forward, and then he ended up finding a way to actually secure a victory. by getting a TKO victory in round 2 over one Alexander Rakic, who also came back from a very long layoff. He's been out on the shelf for, I believe, almost 2 years. Right? Co-main event, it was Zhang Weili versus Yao Xiaonan. Zhang Weili is slowly becoming, maybe one of the best strawweights to ever walk the face of the planet. Defeated Yao Xiaonan in the first ever China versus China matchup in the women's division. I believe they said on the press conference that they ended up inquiring about 30 billion views via social media in China alone, and that was the number one trending thing on Twitter in China was Zhang Weili versus Yao Xiaonan. That's really good out there, and Zhang Weili is a mega superstar in China. I know she wants the UFC to go to China so she could defend her belt over there. What's next for Zhang Weili? Honestly, it might be Tatiana Suarez, or it could be Virna Jandiroba. Virna Jandiroba just recently ended up winning her matchup. I forgot exactly who she ended up fighting. I think it was Luby Godinez, if I'm not mistaken. Virna has pretty much beat as many people as possible, and with Tatiana Suarez's injury history, I feel like Virna would be the safe, viable option for Zhang Weili. The only difference is that Zhang Weili is not a very active fighter. She fights maybe once every 9 months. So next time she fights is more than likely is going to be at Madison Square Garden. Then we had, honestly, the fight of the night, the fight of the year, the knockout of the year. It was Max Holloway versus Justin Gaethje. I had a ticket on Max Holloway. I felt like the lines were way too exaggerated that Justin Gaethje was going to end up beating Max Holloway. Everybody kept on referencing that the power is going to be the difference of why Max Holloway is not going to win, because he kept on seeing Dustin Poirier, what he did against Max Holloway, I think about 4 or 5 years ago. Here's the thing. Dustin Poirier is a way different fighter than Justin Gaethje. Dustin Poirier has a pedigree in boxing, all right? He is a good, sounded defensive fighter, all right? Justin Gaethje, on the other hand, he is a human car crash that walks into the octagon and just throws, overhand hooks and, beats the crap out of people, all right? And Max Holloway, when he fought Justin Poirier, he didn't have much time to really prepare. He just came in there as an overweighted featherweight, and even his coach ended up calling him Muffin Top Max, all right, because he had a muffin top going up to going up to lightweight. But in this fight, you could see the speed advantage was in Max Holloway. Max doesn't just throw one punch; he'll throw you 2 to 3, maybe even throw like a six punch combination. And the thing with Justin Gaethje is he's very hittable. When he's gonna throw a punch, it's usually an over right hand, and you could kind of telegraph that. And Max has impeccable footwork where he can move around, and he can give Justin Gaethje tons of problems. And we were seeing that from rounds 1 through 5. All right, and the ending of round 1, Holloway was pressuring Gaethje to the point where Gaethje was just trying to duck and dodge all these type of punches, but you see Max Holloway impose a spinning back kick where originally it looked like he ended up hitting the chest of Justin Gaethje in real time, but when they rewinded it and slowed it down, he hit him right on the nose and shattered his nose, and that was at the ending of round 1. And ever since then, the whole fight was a lot different, because Justin Gaethje was more worried about how he was going to protect that nose, because man, if you break your nose and you're in a fight for 20 minutes, any punches to that area is going to hurt like hell. And Justin Gaethje managed to stand there and survive 20 more extra minutes. It was more rounds 2, 3, and 4 were pretty much a Max Holloway type of round. I know some people gave Justin Gaethje round 2. I did not. I felt like Gaethje didn't win any rounds. And then in round 5, Max Holloway was putting on the clinic. He absorbed, I think, like 16 leg kicks, and his leg looked disgusting with the amount of swelling that he had on it. But in the final 10 seconds, this is what everybody's going to be talking about. When Max Holloway points to the middle of the octagon, going like this, we're going to throw down for the final 10 seconds. He is trying to recreate what happened between him and Ricardo Lamas, all right, when they ended up fighting at featherweight. What ends up happening? Gaethje starts throwing overhands. Max Holloway is just punching through the body, and then next thing you know, Max Holloway telegraphs and throws an over right hand that hits right on the chin and also on the nose, and drops Justin Gaethje flat forward, the same way that Juan Manuel Marquez ended up dropping Manny Pacquiao infamously face forward, and that's the same way that Gaethje ended up getting laid out. It was one of the craziest oh shit moments. Where the hell were you when you ended up watching that? Alright? The people that I was around, we were screaming and yelling like this is the craziest thing that we've ever seen. I was losing my mind. I was thinking that, oh my god, we have seen the greatest 10 seconds to ever close out a championship fight. Even though it was for the BMF title, it was what's it called? The longest, the latest knockout in a title fight, and it ended with 24 minutes and 59 seconds in the fight. Man, I'll be honest with you guys, wasn't expecting that, but oh my god, that one round, round of the year, that one knockout of the year, that one fight of the year. I mean, if anything can top that, that is going to be insane, because what Justin Gaethje and Max Holloway ended up doing in those final 10 seconds had a whole list of fighters that were watching the fight, holding their face, putting their hands above their heads, with their mouths wide open and shocked. I'm telling you, if you haven't seen it, Dana White has it all over social media, and it is booming. Please watch it. I know that really, drained out the people in the audience between Zhang Wei Li and Yao Zhanan and Alex Pereira, because many people were wondering how can it get any better than this? And then obviously we had Bo Nickel versus Cody Brundage. Bo Nickel ended up winning in round 2 by submission. He wasn't really, happy with his performance. I feel like he needs a lot of grooming to go. The UFC is trying to push him along, to being the superstar. We had Kayla Harrison versus Holly Holm. Kayla Harrison ended up looking really good. The whole big question with Kayla Harrison was, hey, will she be able to make 135 pounds? She made 136 pounds, which is the 1 pound allowance you do get for non-championship fights. She felt like she was, cutting so much weight. She was never used to it. She never made 136 pounds in her life. Dominated Holly Holm. Holly Holm had very bad IQ, because she ended up trying to clinch with Kayla Harrison, which you don't do with Olympic gold medalist in the background of judo. She got her ass kicked, got submitted, and now Kayla Harrison's calling for a title. Honestly, that title is being held by Raquel Pennington, but nobody, and I mean nobody, is going to pick Raquel Pennington to defeat Kayla Harrison. If I'm Raquel Pennington, I know that you're going to try to stall as much as time possible, but be prepared to lose that belt. And then lastly, the last fight I wanted to talk about was Diego Lopez versus Sadiq Youssef. I really do believe that Diego Lopez is going to be a mega superstar, because the momentum that he ended up building after his first fight on the John Jones card, where he ended up fighting Movsar Evloev, and Dana White was so impressed with the way that Diego Lopez, fought. Even though in a losing manner, he still gave him a massive bonus. And that was the only fight that Dana White has enjoyed from one Movsar Evloev, because he's a decision machine. I know Diego wants to run that back. I know he wants to creep higher and higher up in the rankings. He finished Sadiq Youssef in under a round. I think under half a round, if I'm not mistaken. Hits him with 2 big uppercuts, grounds and pounds him, and referee has to remove him from causing more damage to Sadiq Youssef. I think the only 2 fights that make sense for Diego Lopez, in my opinion, is Movsar Evloev or Josh Emmett versus Diego Lopez. Me personally, I want to see him fight Josh Emmett, because Josh Emmett has scary power for the featherweight division. But man, UFC 300 was crazy. UFC 300 was crazy. No fights next week, so I won't be making a video, but I will be making a video very, very soon. And guys, if you haven't watched UFC 300, please rewatch it. Please hit the like and subscribe button, and I will see you guys next time. Peace, guys, and have a good one. See ya.